Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews. Today we are going to take a look at something that is extremely cool because it's from a sculptor that we have not previously reviewed here on the channel. These are some Compsognathus figures, obviously very Jurassic Park inspired, and I think they're meant to be kind of baby Compsognathus figures, or if not babies, at least very stylized type Compsognathus figures, and they're really cool looking, honestly. But these are by Rodrigo Rivas, and a good buddy of mine who was interested in ordering some of his Compies had contacted me to ask if I would like to paint them for him. So, of course, I said sure. Pretty much always up for a nice commission, and we now have them here to take a look at as they are finished. He asked me if I would like to review them before sending them on to him, and I said definitely. So here we are now taking a look at them. And each one is different. You can see that each one has a different pose. So one thing that's really cool, if you remember back to the Lost World Jurassic Park, is that there were so many Compies. There was kind of a big group of them, kind of a flock, I guess you could say. So it's really awesome that he has gone and created a few different versions to sort of give you the same feel to your Compies from him. You have, again, kind of a flock of them right here. So I'm really psyched to take a look at these figures with you guys and show you just how nice they actually are. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get a closer look at them right now. Now, because there are three of them, we're not going to go super in-depth on each one. We're just going to kind of take a quick brief overlook of each of the figures and just kind of show you how nice they actually are. But looking up here at the head sculpt of this Compy, you can see that, if my camera would focus correctly on it, it does sport some really nice detail actually within the figure, and you can see that it's very, very fine overall, but it looks really good, and it's the type of detail that you can bring out really nicely with a good dry brushing, because the detail, once you actually start to dry brush it, just kind of pops and jumps out at you very easily because it's so nicely done. And you can see that looking here at the head of this Compy, and I love how accurate the actual look of the figure is as far as looking like that kind of Lost World Jurassic Park type of a look. The head sculpt is pretty much perfect as far as like the way it's shaped, and again he has it slightly stylized, especially having that sort of baby-like look with the larger eyes, and just generally the body looking more like a baby, I think is a really, really cool aspect of the figures. But you can see some very nice detail within the neck. You can even see how like the skin is kind of twisting and creasing with the turn in the neck and the way the Compy is kind of looking up. So that is a really, really cool aspect. You could tell that he does do a great job of really making sure that the detail that should be there is there in the sculpt of his figure, and he does a great job of displaying things like movement and everything. You can see the arms are sculpted out really nicely. Even the nails are present down here on the fingers of the Compy. You have a beautiful appearance to the overall body. Again, very nice turns and bends in the body as well. You can see the rib cage right there. Beautiful thigh and calf. Very nice and thin. Pretty much exactly like the Compies look in the films. And again, the feet look great down here. You can see the nails are sculpted out quite nicely, so they're very nice and easy to paint. Beautiful foot sculpts for sure. And then we come out into the tail, and again, the tail has a very nice curve to it. Very cool looking. So this is just one of three different versions of the Compies. Of course, you have this version here, which is yet another kind of closed mouth version. And you can see that the head sculpt looks really nice on this one as well. Again, just like the previous one did, with sort of that very nice looking Compy, Jurassic Park style Compy head sculpt. And this one has almost like a curious look, like sort of like what you see on the ones in the Lost World Jurassic Park, where they're sort of just curious looking up at you. He's got that head tilt going on, so he's super cute. Really nicely done as far as the pose goes on this figure. And I've also kind of tried to give some of them a female-like appearance with brown here in the neck and the underside, more so than the red that you see, what I think is more of like a male version. I could be wrong, but that's just sort of the way I've tried to paint them for him. But again, nice big eyes, beautiful head sculpt. All the detail that should be there is really nicely there. Again, you could see how beautiful that detail is up here on the top of the head. If it would just focus, you can see how nice that is as far as like dry brush type detail. Brings that detail out of the figure perfectly. You've got those really nice arms. You can even see musculature within the arms. Same deal here with the thigh and calf region. That calf muscle is really bulging. But of course the dinosaur is kind of crouched right there. You also have the rib cage right there, so he's done a great job of really capturing, again, all the realistic details of the figure. You have a very nice kind of a bend to the body, just like we had seen previously on the other one. Very nice tail sculpt, again, with a little curve out here at the end, so it looks super, super cool. And then looking over here at this side, again, it looks beautiful. It's pretty much in a kind of a neutral pose as far as this one goes. Standing here, you could just see a little bend in the body and that very adorable kind of head tilt going on up there. Beautiful tail sculpt. Again, these are very nicely detailed in every way. Again, these are very, very nicely detailed figures, and I'm just trying to get through each and every one because we have so many here, and I actually kind of need to ship these guys off. So I unfortunately don't have much time to spend with them before they head out on their journey, but you can again see how nicely done this one is, and this is the only one that, as far as these three that I've received here, that has the open mouth, and you can see the inside of the mouth, sports some really nice sculpted teeth, beautifully sculpted tongue and everything in there. If my camera would allow me to focus on it, because it just does not want to, you can see how nice that detail is in there a little bit. It's just a little hard to pick up on. The head of the Compy looks great on this one as well. Again, sporting that perfect Jurassic Park style head sculpt, but of course in a little bit of an exaggerated way. This one is in more of a crouching position. You can see the arms are in slightly different positioning right there as far as the hands and everything goes, but the legs of course are in the same position, being crouched like that. But yet again, everything looks honestly phenomenal on the figure as far as like the sculpt and the detail and the way the body would be appearing for the movement that is currently taking place in the figure. Very nicely done. There's no kind of a bend in the body or anything with this one. It's just kind of straightforward, and he looks like he's maybe about to jump up. And he's also got that mouth open, so maybe he's looking a little mischievous there as well, like he's about to take a little bite or something. So I can definitely say that these three Compies here from Rodrigo Rivas are awesome, and if you're a Jurassic Park collector, they are a great addition to any Jurassic Park collection. But really, really beautiful figures. Let's go ahead and get a size on each of these for you guys right now. Now, as far as the size goes on the Compies here, you can see for a length on the crouching version, it is going to come in at roughly the 6¼ inch range, somewhere around there, or about 16 centimeters. This one is the only one that doesn't want to stand for me. I don't know if it potentially probably could stand. If I display it back there with its tail against the wall, it definitely can. But as far as like a height goes, again, it really depends on how you want to display it, because it's kind of got this crouching position, but I think it looks better like this just because it's looking up. So if we go ahead and give it a size from this point, you're looking at about 3½ inches or 9 centimeters. And then for this standing version, which does stand really beautifully, if we move the camera over just a little, for a length, you're looking at around the 6½ inch range, or about 16½ centimeters. And then for a height on this one, about 4¾ inches, or about 12 centimeters, somewhere in that range. And then for the final of the three, who also stands really nicely, but it's about 5¾ inches, or about 14½ centimeters roughly, because I can't get a very good measurement on this guy just because of the positioning of his body is giving me a little bit of trouble. But for a height, you're going to see it at about the 4-inch range, or 10 centimeters. It does appear as though we have a little size difference between the two, which is definitely something that I think is cool, because in real animals, of course, not every animal of a, like if, for instance, if Compies were alive today and the Compy had babies, there would definitely be some that appear to be a little larger than others, because I have numerous ducks, and when the ducks have babies, that does happen quite often. So that's a potentially very realistic aspect of these figures, is the fact that this guy here back here is definitely the biggest of the three. So there's a little difference when it comes to the size of each and every one of them, really making each figure unique, but also kind of a nice dose of realism within the figures. But as far as the size comparison goes, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon next to our Rodrigo Rivas Compsognathus figures, and you can see next to these guys right here that these Compies do sport some pretty darn good size, especially being baby Compsognathus. They really have some good size, but you can definitely see that next to these figures, especially next to Mr. Papo Rex, who is a pretty large figure himself, and these Compies are honestly quite large. I would say probably in the medium figure size range, you could say, and the Compy right there in front of the Papo Rex might be approaching a larger version. At least for that species, I would consider it a larger figure, but really nicely sized overall for sure. So these Rodrigo Rivez Compsognathus figures are absolutely awesome. Really cool figures that I honestly would like to own myself because they're so cool. Really nicely sculpted overall, and it gives you a lot to work with when you are painting the figure because it has such very nice, very fine detailing as far as like the skin texture goes, that it's pretty much perfect for dry brushing because you can bring the detail out in such a very nice subtle way that it looks fantastic. And each one of these Compy figures sports that same very kind of soft detailing to them, which personally I think is really good and works really well on this style of dinosaur. So that was a great choice on the part of Rodrigo and the way he sculpted it. I also love the fact that each one comes in a different pose. You can see each figure has kind of its own individuality to it, even again including things like somewhat different sizes to the figures, but the poses are all very cool looking, very nice and natural. I love that one that kind of has the tilted head and he's just looking up like he's very curious. And then you have the other one that looks like he's crouching and maybe he's about to jump up and grab a hold of something. Maybe he's the bad seed of the bunch and he's going to cause a little bit of a ruckus by biting something. And then you also have the larger one that almost looks like, because he's a little bit larger, that he's the more mature of the group and he's just kind of standing there looking around, just sort of weighing his options as to what he can do at this point in time. So again, each figure really has its own individuality to it, and each one looks absolutely beautiful. I love that kind of baby-like look to them. I've never seen anyone tackle a baby Jurassic Park style Compsognathus before, so that is also a really cool aspect of the figures in general. And he's done a great job of really creating those Jurassic Park compies and giving them that look with like that really nice thin slender body, and pretty much everything just looks so good on these figures sculpt wise. Like the legs and feet, there's a really significant, very thin looking, almost bird-like look to the feet of the Compies in Jurassic Park, well, in the Lost World Jurassic Park, but he's captured that as well perfectly on these figures. So overall, they are really, really nicely sculpted and a lot of fun to paint. So definitely something to look forward to if you do in fact purchase these, is painting them, because again, it's a lot of fun with how nicely sculpted they are. So if you would like to pick these up, I will include a link in the description to where you can contact Rodrigo Rivez, or you can of course contact me and I can contact him for you to help you place an order for these or any of his other models that he has currently for sale. Again, contacting him to kind of get the full rundown of what he does have available might be your best option, because personally I don't really know each and every figure that he has available. So again, make sure you check the description, pick up these really cool Compsognathus from Rodrigo Rivez, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.